Diptyque Laurent is with me once again here on set to browse through the global press. And Dipty, we're starting out, of course, with Spain and the aftermath of Mariano Rajoy's announcement on Saturday that he was triggering Article 155, suspending several parts of Catalonia's autonomy.
That's right, suspending several parts of Catalonia's autonomy, but also getting rid of Carles Puigdemont, the Catalan separatist leader. Let's look at the front page of Ara, which is a Catalan paper reputed to be close to the separatists. They say the Spanish sovereignty is seeking a united response after activating Article 155. Now, El País, obviously this topic is making the editorials of pretty much all the papers today. El País, another Spanish daily, says, "Our democracy is going through troubled times. The, quote, disloyalty of Catalan authorities have forced the hand of the government, yet dissolving Catalan's government is not a measure that a democrat can swallow." The paper urges all Spanish sides to work for a common Spanish project. "Our democracy," I quote, "with all its imperfections, deserves to be defended, deepened and improved among all."
Now, one other Catalan paper, La Vanguardia, is pleading with Carles Puigdemont to help diffuse or try and bring an end to those tensions.
That's right. This paper calls it a spasmodic situation. La Vanguardia is also a Catalan paper that more or less sits on the fence when it comes to the issue of independence. Carles Puigdemont should go before the Senate and announce an election before they approve of Article 155. Doing so would be, I quote, "an act of wisdom and an act of patriotism." Now, even if some argue that Madrid's response has not been the correct response, or others feel that Puigdemont's declaration is not the right one, many papers and many people feel at least that he's really shot himself in the foot since the referendum. And here he is, well, it's been illustrated by the Guardian's cartoonist. Here he is literally being gored by the Spanish bull.
Okay, let's move on now to a rather short-lived controversy this weekend with the appointment of Zimbabwe's leader, Robert Mugabe, as a UN goodwill ambassador.
You might have thought this was a cruel Halloween prank ahead of time. It was not. The head of the World Health Organization, Ethiopian politician Tedros Adhanom, appointed Mugabe as the organization's goodwill ambassador. He then rescinded that appointment a day later after global outrage. Now, the Zimbabwe Mail is talking about this, and they say Mugabe, Zimbabwe's leader for nearly 40 years, has been accused of various human rights abuses. Many also feel that the country's medical system is poor and neglected, and this was really the reason why he definitely should not have been a goodwill ambassador. The Zimbabwe Mail says it's more of a negative reflection on Tedros himself, who was appointed head of the World Health Organization this year with the help of Zimbabwe, and many feel that this appointment was kind of his way of paying back Mugabe for his support. But really, for the Mail, it shows that he's just part of this African old men's club that values politicking over people. I'm quoting there. And on Twitter, people have been really up in arms about this scandal. This user says, "If only Mugabe's presidential term were as short as his UN ambassadorship."
Okay, Dipty, let's move on now to Puerto Rico, where one mayor has asked the US for a bailout plan as the island there struggles to cope with the aftermaths of Hurricane Maria this autumn. Well, the mayor of San Juan has gone as far as asking for what she calls a Marshall Plan, just like the U.S. gave its European allies billions of dollars to help rebuild after the Second World War. Well, now Puerto Rico is also asking for a bailout to help rebuild itself after Hurricane Maria, remembering that Puerto Rico is, of course, a U.S. territory. Now, the mayor has also said that FEMA, which is a U.S. emergency agency, needs to work faster, adding that their aid so far has been invaluable in bringing water and food to the people. And US celebrities have held a benefit concert there to help raise money. They've raised $31 million to help the island, and one photograph in particular has gone viral.
That's right. It's a photo here of America's 5 living ex-presidents with Lady Gaga. So you have Jimmy Carter, George Bush Sr. and Jr., Bill Clinton, of course, Barack Obama. The 5 presidents came together to raise money for Puerto Rico. Here they are with Lady Gaga. As this user says, sometimes a boy band needs just an extra member.
Just wondering why Lady Gaga was there. Maybe you can explain.
Well, I think she was headlining.
Oh, she was
headlining the
performing
benefit
there.
concert. That's right. She didn't just sort of picture. Although somebody on Twitter did say it looked like she'd photobombed that picture. Anyway, one user said it's a beautiful example of humanity at its best. Worth noting that Donald Trump says he's done a stellar job so far of supporting Puerto Rico. This despite the fact that most of the island is still lacking electricity.
And very briefly to end with a presidential leak from the Elysée Palace. No pun there, or maybe.
Oh, big pun intended. Totally intended. The Anglo press have hilariously been running with this. Emmanuel Macron was holding a meeting with ministers recently when his 2-year-old dog, Nemo, could be seen urinating very loudly on the gilded mantelpiece in his office. The presidential leak was captured for posterity by a TV crew who were filming at the time. Just so you know, Nemo was adopted from an animal shelter back in August by Macron and his wife Brigitte. Apparently Macron was totally unfazed by this and he continued holding his meeting despite the presidential leak. The Telegraph explains that dogs behaving badly is nothing new in the Elysée. Jacques Chirac actually had to give away his dog after he left the Elysée because the canine was so depressed at having to move to smaller quarters that it kept attacking the former president.
Diptyque Laurent, thank you very much. Time now for another quick break. I'm back with another roundup of world news in just a few moments' time, including, of course, our Focus report this Monday, which looks at the mystery surrounding the death of the Nobel Prize-winning Chilean poet Paulo Neruda. All that and more still to come here on France 24. Do stay with us if you can.